All right, welcome back to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Monday. What is today? I don't even remember.
It is Monday.
Yeah, May 16th.
Where I am.
May 16th. It's been a busy year. Anyway, we're back. Conference semifinals now. Jarrod Prosser. Huge game sevens over the weekend. What's going on?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, it was great to see the Rangers get up over the Pens.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. I'm a very, very happy blue shirt right now. But
Well, we can start with it. I hope we can do somebody will do a hockey show with me to go over the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, look, we've got enough good hockey people. Outside of the Rangers games, I didn't focus too. You keep an eye on the scores, you watch the highlights, but the Rangers games are the ones being a Rangers man, I didn't really focus too much outside of that. But yeah, very happy right now.
It's funny. All year I said, I'm not picking the Rangers. I think they're frauds. They're a year behind. They can't do
it. Constantly. You have been at them the whole year.
And then I did pick them to beat the Penguins, being like, there's no way Shesterkin's losing to this bum third string goalie. And they did pull it out.
And you know what? I mean, this was before, every other goalie rather than bloody Lewis Lemon Meringue went down.
That's a great name. That may as well be his name.
I was calling him Lemon Meringue the whole series. What you get over here? Yeah, it's like save Lemon Meringue, and but no. Before, when they still had the Smith in goal, I honestly, even as a Ranger fan, I just thought the Pens, they're a veteran side. It's the old cliche. They know how to win. They know how to handle the playoffs. The Rangers have got so many guys, so many key guys who either have no idea how to do it or just aren't as experienced, aren't as good at it as the Penguins. And I thought, no, the Pens will find a way to do this. They'll probably nick it in 6. And when, those games in the middle of the series when Shesterkin was getting absolutely shelled and chased, that okay, here it comes.
Because he's the only guy going to keep him in it. Like, he has to be.
He's done it the whole year. I mean, the Rangers' offense is superb, but defensively, yes, they've got some good players like the Lindgren, Trouba, Fox, excellent defenseman, and I love Miller. I think he could be anything, but ultimately that Rangers defense, it is Shesterkin or nothing. Like, he is the guy. He's the difference, and every good team has to have a great goalie, of course, but he stood in his head this year. Absolutely,
he's been miles better than everybody analytically.
Yeah, he has. He'll get the Vezina, and so he should. But no, I honestly thought when we lost game 1 in, after the 14th overtime, that I thought, okay, that's probably our shot to get a foothold in this series. I thought we were on the back foot now, and it wasn't really, even in game 7, we were down 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. They found a way to come.
They got outplayed in almost all of the games.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's what happens sometimes, you get outplayed, but you win the big moments, and the Rangers won the moments.
I'm glad I was on the right side of it. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Look, so am I. And I'm very happy to be on the wrong side of this one.
I just found it funny that all these game 7s, and it looked like the NBA games, people were turning the TV off for the hockey games.
Look, I would have had a decision to make if the Jazz were in a game 7 against Phoenix, but thankfully I knew back in about February we weren't going to be in a game 7 against Phoenix. So, for me, it would have been a tough choice. I might have had to 2-screen it, but
even down 40.
Sorry,
even when they were down 40. Phoenix?
My God. Well, let's face it. If it was Utah in Dallas's shoes, I would have been 2-screening the shit out of that and pointing and laughing hysterically. Okay. Like, one screen would have been eating my fingernails, and the other one just doubling over with laughter. It would have been a roller coaster.
Yeah. Where do you want to start? What series do we want to start with? We'll go over the conference
since we're talking. Yeah, well, since we're talking Phoenix Dallas, it's there's a good friend of mine over here spent years living in Dallas, has a photo on his wall of he and Dirk. His kids are born in Dallas. The kids I coach. Yeah, huge Mavs fan. And I shot him a message today. He runs his own business. So, thankfully he can take the odd day off. I said, so how much work are you getting done? Fuck all. That was the text message back. Not getting anything done. Yeah, just an astonishing game. Like, if you said that this was going to go to game 7 before the series, you would have said, well, great effort, Dallas. You've pushed the Suns as hard as anyone can push them. But just the depth, the sheer depth of talent will see this side through. But God almighty, we've had a few, apparent coming out parties for Luka, but I mean, this is the big one. He's taken Dallas further than he ever has, and he did it with a virtuoso performance.
And he basically outscored the Suns by himself.
For a while there, he was. Like, not even joking. He was legitimately
during the minutes where it was actually like things mattered. He outscored the Suns.
Yeah, it was an incredible game. And it was only yesterday there was a tweet. I cannot remember where it came from. One of these, anonymous NBA accounts, and it had a picture of the Trey and Luka trade. It said, "Name a fairer trade. I dare you." I'm thinking, I think there's a lot. It's I mean, look, Trey's great, but completely plays one side of the ball, and as Miami showed, is very easy to shut down with the right defense. And not just slow down, shut down.
There's a chance that trade goes down as one of the worst trades in NBA history.
Oh, no. It's a long way from that. This is not a Parrish and McHale for Joe Barry Carroll or anything like that.
If Doncic goes on to win a couple rings and we think Trae Young keeps getting bounced like in the first or second round, it ain't going to look great.
No, it won't look great, but it's not going to go down as an all-time bad one. Trae Young's just on sheer weight of numbers. He's going
he can play. It's not like they got, somebody that can't play.
No, exactly. He's going to have, half a dozen all-star games to his name minimum by the time it's all said and done. Trae Young is going to be very, very good if he's not already. But Luka could be a,
that
2-time, 3-time generational MVP type of player. And
you can't put a
that's
price.
Not a fair trade. That is not a fair trade. Even with the draft pick, when DeAndre Hunter isn't, he's not floating anyone.
You just can't put a price tag on those guys that change your franchise, like Doncic.
No, it's the old thing. You don't trade pennies for the dollar. Don't trade quarters for the dollar. So if you can get that, that beacon, that tentpole star, you do it. And look, speaking of, transactions around Luka on draft day, this is the team that passed over him with the number 1 pick, whilst they had his national coach as their head coach. As good as DeAndre Ayton is.
So I should take back my praise for James Jones. He no longer deserves praise.
Was he the GM then?
I believe so.
Yeah, I can't recall whether he was or not. And look, I get it with Ayton. I honestly do. Local product, just phenomenal athlete, can be anything at both ends of the floor. But this has got the 1984 draft all over it. Yeah, you've got the big super athletic local product center in Ayton, international but local collegiate product. Ayton in the Olajuwon role. You've got the absolute washout center, Bagley, in the Bowie role, and then you've got the generational superstar Doncic in the MJ role. Like,
wow.
The parallels are flawless.
Wow, that's a call right there.
Yeah.
Huh. Credit to you.
It's the 84 draft all over again.
Wow. May have to go through the rest of it to see how much it matches on the other stuff.
Yeah, I got to admit, I haven't really gone, I don't know who I need to go through.
That's interesting though.
Sam Perkins and Charles Barkley correlations work, but yeah, just on that top 3, it's almost identical to that 84 draft at this point.
I am surprised the Mavericks won the series, but I can't say I'm like totally even shocked. Are you?
Oh, I am.
Okay.
I honestly thought Phoenix would take him down at worst. I thought they'd give up 2 games. I picked them in 5.
I just thought that when I watched those games 3 and games 4, I'm like, I think we have something here. I don't think they're gonna roll over.
No, they've been a lot better than what I imagined. And Dinwiddie, my God, he's been immense.
What does this say about Porzingis?
He's been better than Porzingis by himself. And
what does this say about
Bertans has
Porzingis?
proven playable this series. Like he's actually been able to hang on defense. His shot is not what it was in San Antonio, but
he had a couple good shots.
Decently. Oh, look, he does. But I mean, he was electric as a Spur. He earned that money as a Spur. But he was able to hang on defense as well. Like they weren't able to exploit the fact that he's got concrete shoes. This, like, I got to admit, I was shocked. I did not think Dallas would take this series, but not only did they take it, they absolutely embarrassed the NBA's best team on the way out, on their own floor. A remarkable game of basketball.
This one for me is the hardest to have like a serious take by it, just because like they got killed. Like, what do you even say?
Well, this is the thing. It was a great series. Like there was some wonderful basketball played, but there were blowouts all the way through it. It's not like, and we'll get to Boston, Milwaukee later, where it's a shame that last game was a blowout. Whether you're a C's fan or a Bucks fan, it's a shame it was a blowout because that series didn't deserve a blowout in Game 7. That deserved a double overtime buzzer beater.
I'm gonna have a counter for that one.
I'll bet. But yeah, I think that was a series that deserved to have, a cliffhanger, a genuine cliffhanger. This series didn't. This series, having a game where you're up by 40 something, almost seems to fit in with the rest of the series. There weren't a lot of tight games in it.
A lot of these games you could have turned them off at halftime and know who won.
Yeah, precisely.
Man, I do feel bad for Chris Paul a little bit. Do you feel bad for Chris Paul?
Not especially.
I know you don't like him, really.
No, I'm not a big Chris. See, this is the weird thing. Like as you know, I'm a Utah fan. I grew up watching 80s and 90s basketball, and I'm a short, stocky, sometimes a little bit dirty point guard. Obviously I've idolized Stockton. Not so much his off the court stuff now. That's a very, very different matter. Weird ass anti-vax bastard that he is. But Chris Paul is essentially Stockton. Their stats, their career accolades, their careers actually mirror really, really closely. So I still don't know why. I grew up loving Stockton, and I've just never taken to Chris Paul. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he's encroaching on Stockton's turf. I don't know. On his legacy.
I like him.
I've never warmed to Chris Paul. But I love watching him play from a purely objective point of view.
Yeah, he's
a surgeon out in the court.
His so smart.
Game is elite. Oh yeah.
Some of the passes he makes, like only he's making them. At 37, he's kept his body together. You have to respect that part of it.
The last 2 years, he saw it was breaking down, and instead of going, well, I guess this is the end of my prime, he changed.
I'll always respect a deliberate
that decision. Yeah, no, I like it's brilliant work from him. He's extended his prime by another 3 or 4 years, and
he knows his spots when he can shoot too. Like he's never killing you with a bad shooting, except for last night, but. Like,
look, everyone has their bad shooting nights, but
most of the time he gets to his spots and you just feel he's going to make them.
Yeah, no, I love watching him play from an X's and O's standpoint and from a basketball nerdtopia type of standpoint. But I just struggle to barrack for him, to cheer for him. Like, there's just something that puts me off him. I don't know what it is, but I've never warmed to him.
How disappointing is this for the 64-win Suns team?
Hugely.
Yeah.
Hugely. On our little WhatsApp group that we've got over here, there's a couple of them already asking, is the Suns window shut? If we've seen, if Chris Paul has gone over that edge now, has their window shut?
Probably.
Yeah. I think so. Honestly, I'd like to see whether Paul has gone over that edge or whether he's just had a bad series. even though he supposedly got the injury out of the way earlier in the season, he has traditionally struggled, particularly in the last 5 or 6 years, in the playoffs. He just can't get it done. And I think it's more that he's a small point guard who takes on a lot of responsibility and he gets worn down.
It's also a little strange on his 37th birthday. He like completely went the wrong way.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah, look,
boom, happy birthday. You stink now.
Oh, look, it could just be a bad game.
Well, yeah, it was just weird. It was just weird timing. Like,
oh yeah, the narrative of that was perfect. Yeah, look, I'd like to see whether Paul can do it again, do what he did through at least through the regular season again. If he does that, the window is open. But I have my doubts. As you mentioned, he's 37 now.
And what do you do with Ayton? He needs a contract.
Oh God, I have no idea here. Ultimately, they've got long-term money. Paul's on long-term money. I think you need to pay him. Phoenix have been.
This isn't like paying second-round pick DeAndre Jordan, though.
No, it's not. But
this is.
Yeah, he'll want something close to the max. Like this isn't even Giannis when he took the $100 million for 4 years. You know, he took under the max when it was like blind Freddie and his deaf dog could see that Giannis was going to become a superstar by that stage, and Giannis still took less money. Of course, you know, Giannis is wired differently, but I think you have to pay him. Yes, Phoenix are able to construct centers out of nothing. I mean, fair enough. The Kaminsky minutes hurt them in the finals last season, but the Kaminsky minutes should have killed them, not hurt them. You know, Williams
did a great job.
No, but it should have been worse.
Yeah,
Kaminsky's horrible. It should have been worse. This year they've turned JaVale McGee. Well, I shouldn't say turned. JaVale's been a good backup for a few years now, but they took Bismack Biyombo, a veteran off the scrap heap who may or may not be able to catch, and turn him into at times a really good NBA center in a limited role.
I think what killed him this year, campaign was awful for a lot of stretches.
Yeah, he reverted to type. Absolutely reverted to type. And I mean, look, they took a few flyers on other point guards of the playmakers, and it didn't quite work out. But I don't want to say Phoenix's window is shut simply because Ayton has a lot of improvement left, and Booker probably has another step or two in him as well. But when you throw in Crowder's on the back end of his prime, you need to find another player who can play his role, with his fearlessness.
Why we got to throw shade at Jay Crowder today?
Sorry, for anyone who doesn't know, like there is a massive unrequited man crush.
Yeah,
from Trey Dorbert. He loves this man.
If Jay Crowder would have been taking every shot last night, the Suns would have won.
See, but no, look, I think Booker's got a step left in him. Ayton and Bridges clearly do. Cam Johnson, maybe he steps into that Crowder role in time. He's a better shooter. He's a bigger size. He's a decent defender without being super quick, much like Crowder. So that, maybe they've got that replacement already on roster and they've just got to develop him. But the big thing is, they've had a couple of genuine superstars in Booker and Paul and two very, very good supporting stars in Ayton and Bridges. If Paul's dropping from superstardom, can Bridges or Ayton step up into superstardom? I'm not convinced with either. They could do it.
Bridges has already kind of taken a leap, hasn't he?
Yeah, I still don't think he's a genuine number one or two option. Well, certainly not a number one option. But
I think if the Sixers thought that, they would have never traded him on draft day.
Oh, God, no, absolutely. He's better than what the Sixers thought, clearly. But to me, he is an elite, like absolute elite supporting, like a complementary player. He's not someone that, if Booker happens to have an off night or have a Marcus Smart guarding him and you need points and you say, here, Bridges, go get us a bucket. He's not that player, and I don't know whether he's...
he wishes he was Grant Williams sometimes. We all can't beat Grant Williams.
Oh, is this going to be a massive, like, Celtic circle jerk?
Oh, I feel like I
don't know
deserve
whether I
it.
can handle that. No, look, I don't want to say that the window is shut because I think Paul still has one more good run. But like, if there is one more year left, it is only one more year unless they can find some internal growth or another player to come in and take, not Paul's spots, but essentially fill that role in their totem pole of players.
Can Dallas win this thing? I don't have anything else on this series, but
I didn't think they'd win the second round.
I think we need to start
when
asking.
Luka went down, I wasn't convinced they'd win in the first round. So look, why not?
Sure.
Yeah, he is. Look at it this way: is Luka better than current day 30? What is he? 33 years old now. Is he better than a 33-year-old Steph?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a question where you have to stop and think. And if the answer is yes, he is.
I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, can that supporting cast do enough to elevate Luka to a point where he can take on a team of veteran stars in the Warriors? Because basketball often comes down to who's the best player on the floor. If Luka's the best player on the floor for more games than what Steph is, I don't know. We could have a really good series here.
I'm excited.
I guess we'll get to our previews later, but in a little bit of a spoiler, I think I'm going to pick the Warriors, but I think it's going to be a really good series, and I don't pick them with, out and out confidence.
Okay. Let's do the other Western Conference series.
Yep.
I'm drawing a blank. The Golden State Warriors and Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
This one we kind of got robbed a little bit. John Morant got hurt.
Yes and no, because
I felt like Golden State was going to win anyway, but
yeah, I thought they would.
It was a shame to see him get hurt.
It would have been great to see him at full strength, but at the same time, the Grizzlies are able to shapeshift without Morant into this perfect egalitarian team where nobody does too much, but everybody does something. So you can't sort of go, well, we're going to shut down this option here and we'll shut down the Grizzlies, because everybody contributes. Not just 5, but 8, 9, 10 guys will contribute.
Well, I wanted to ask you that question because there's a lot of John Morant haters out there. They've won a lot of games without him, and like their winning percentage is crazy.
Yeah, look, they play a completely different style of game without him. But ultimately, we just talked about Luka being the best player on the floor potentially in the series against the Warriors, and switching that series to the underdog. Ultimately, a really good team will take you so far. Look at Budenholzer's Atlanta era Hawks. You could sit there and say that team was great. They didn't really have a weakness or anything like that, but they were always a 55 to 60 win team who may make a conference finals, but were never a serious threat to win the whole thing. Memphis without Ja is that. Jaren Jackson can be your leader. They've got good supporting players, but ultimately you need that beacon.
Is Jaren Jackson Paul Millsap, or is he Al Horford?
Oh, I'd say he's Horford once he stops, fouling everything that moves.
I just wanted to make sure.
No, no. Look, you need that beacon. You need that shining light to guide you, and that is what Ja is. He takes a really, really good, solid team, and he turns them into, like, they're not fully cooked yet. They're still in the oven, but he turns them into a side that should turn themselves into a contender sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So as much as people are hating on him, the Grizzlies don't win a title without Ja. They don't make a finals without Ja. They're a second round in a really lucky year of conference finalists without him.
Do you feel good if you're a Memphis fan today? I know losing the series sucks, but
oh, absolutely you do. Remember, this side was ahead of schedule last season when they took a game off the number 1 seed. This season, they're the number 2 seed. They're miles ahead of schedule. Like, this was the season that they were supposed to break into the playoffs. Last season was supposed to be one more lottery pick. they are a long way ahead of schedule. You've got to be thrilled if you're a Grizz fan right now. Your team is on the way up. They're on the way up quicker than what anybody thought. They're able to change identity on the fly with or without Jar. They can play big and muscly with Adams inside, or they can play a little bit more nimble if you put Tillman or Clark out there. They can just do so much. Like, you've got to be happy with this side. They're well coached. They all seem to really enjoy each other's company. And the main thing, Jar seems to really like Memphis. This is
that's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks like he wants to stick around and make a go of it. So, we're looking at a side that windows can close quickly. OKC's window with Durant and Russ and Harden and all that. Ibaka, we saw how quickly that can close. Phoenix's may have closed already after 2 seasons. So these things can go in a blink of an eye. But right now, the Grizz look like they're going to be in and around contention for a long time.
On a more minor scale, because teams got to get this stuff right if you get over the hump. What do you do with Tyus Jones? He's actually given them a really good minutes in the postseason.
It's the Brunson question, isn't it? He's earned himself a starting spot. He's certainly not going to be a top 10 and probably not even top 15 starter, but he's good enough to start for plenty of sides. But everybody's talking about the Knicks throwing a bag full of money at Rick Brunson. God, it's his old man, Jalen Brunson. But if they can't get him, he decides to stick around in Dallas, or he decides that the Knicks are a tire fire, and whatever the reason, the next cab off the rank for that sort of outstanding backup ready to progress is Jones.
Is $15 million a year for Tyus Jones outrageous?
How much? 16?
15.
15? No, I don't think it is. I really don't think it is.
I think he's going to get around that.
Yeah, I think he will, and I think he'll deserve it. Brunson, because he had that huge series against Utah,
he'll get more,
and because he stepped up with Luka out in the regular season, he's the one who gets all of the plaudits. And he has bigger scoring games than Jones as well. But Jones is his equal as a player. Slightly different style, but he is at least Brunson's equal.
What do you think of Josh Hart's comment that was deleted on Twitter, saying that Jalen Brunson's secret sauce was his head's too big, so it gives him good balance?
Is this like that old Simpsons thing where Lisa becomes a gymnast?
Yes.
You'll have giant heads like a beach ball made of bone. On a Simpsons side note, Lugash, the gymnasium teacher, gymnastics teacher, he's my favorite random Simpsons character.
Okay.
Here is your cat, and here is your cat. I had a dog. Is cat now? I love that guy.
I'm more of a Family Guy person, but Simpsons is always good.
But that's because we're different eras. When you were younger, Family Guy was fresh. When I was young, Simpsons was fresh. So, Family Guy is great though. Look, it's Josh Hart being tongue in cheek. He's shown himself to be a pretty amusing bloke in interviews on social media. I think it's just Josh Hart throwing a bit of material out there, and good on him. We need players with personality. We don't want them to become robots. Yeah. And Josh Hart seems like a genuinely good dude as well. So I don't think they're too malicious.
The real question from this series is, do we have the real Klay Thompson back? Because we need the good version of Klay Thompson.
I think they should tell him, from every game is game 6.
Yes.
Just wipe his memory at the end of the game. Hey, we're at game 6. Get it done, Klay. 7 threes, please. I'm not prepared to say it. We're seeing more and more moments where Klay looks like Klay, but can he be that every single game guy that is a threat to go off for 40?
Because realistically,
defense.
If you had to pick one, how many people take Jordan Poole?
I think there would be. He's flammable on defense.
Sure.
Poole can be absolutely cooked, but
if you had to pick one that's healthy for a playoff series.
Yeah, look, if you're picking for a playoff series right now, I'd probably still go Klay, but marginally. The one difference between Poole and Klay is that Poole can create his own shot. Klay's never really been able to do that, even healthy and young.
And
Um,
his first step driving towards the rim is unbelievable.
it's grease lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you were looking to build for seasons, out into the future, of course you'd take Poole. He's younger. His legs are not held together with gaffer tape.
Okay, but who would have had this talk before the year?
Oh, look, no one, no one, not even Jordan Poole's mum would have believed this.
Nope.
No, he has outstripped every expectation, every expectation. Yeah, look, we both picked the Warriors. We expected the Warriors to win. I think we both picked them in. You picked them in 6. I picked them in 7. As you said, we didn't get the full experience because Clay was out. Jar was out. But at the same time, it was still a really entertaining series. The Warriors showed enough to show us that they are still there or thereabouts as contenders, and the Grizz again showed enough that they are going to be contenders in the very, very near future. Yeah, they were fantastic. It was a great series.
I have one more random question, and then if you have anything else, why is it that we're fascinated with Gordon Hayward breaks his leg? We can't show anyone. We got to take it off the TV. That can never be seen by anyone again. Gary Payton breaks his arm, and we show every replay possible. Nobody's really terrified of it, and I know it's a different body part, but like it's kind of the same thing with baseball pitchers. We're like, he has Tommy John surgery. He blew out his arm. Okay, we'll just find another one. But
look, I got to admit, I didn't watch that game live. Was it obvious in the moment that he'd broken his arm?
Yeah. I mean, it was bad.
Okay, yeah. Well, in that case, I think the reason it was shown is because there was a flagrant foul involved, and it had to be replayed so that the officials could go.
It just felt like, oh man, this guy. I mean, something is very wrong with his arm. Like it definitely looks broken, and you guys keep showing it.
Look, Hayward's
over and over again.
Yeah, now Gordy's was just utterly gruesome.
Yeah,
this one certainly wasn't nearly as bad as that, but I think it's partly, and like you said, different body part, but I think it's partly the fact that there was a decision to make as far as the punishment. Was it just a regular foul? Was it, was it a flagrant? Was it firing squad? Yeah, it was a decision to make, so there had to be replays so that the fans knew what the officials were looking at.
We're gonna move on to the Eastern Conference matchups. Sorry, I put you out the dry. I hit the button a little too soon. Where do we want to start? Number 1 seed, Miami Heat. Number 4 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. I picked the Sixers. I actually do think they could have put up more of a fight. God, did they roll over? At least in my opinion.
They did. Well, it's a weird one. Like I without having Embiid there, I picked the Heat to roll through this series. But let me ask you a question. Number 1 seed, and what were the Sixers? 4 seed?
Yeah, 4 seed.
Yeah, so number 1 seed, number 4 seed. The number 4 seed, the number 1 seed is essentially healthy. They're missing a point guard, but he's not the be all and end all of their system.
There were actually moments I want to actually ask you this question now. There were moments, in my opinion, I thought they were better without Lowry on the floor.
An injured Lowry? Absolutely. He like Lowry's strength is the ability to, even old and slow as he is the ability to influence pace. But when he's injured, he can't do that.
He was really bad offensively during a lot of stretches.
Terrible. And look, he's clearly not right. So you don't want to hold it against him. He's not nearly 100%. But yeah, you're dead right. Without him on the floor, they were 5 fit bodies. It's amazing what that does. But going back to the Sixers, if you said at the start of the series, okay, the Heat are essentially healthy, the Sixers are missing Embiid. Between a busted thumb, a concussion, and a broken face, he could be out for most of the series. And if he does come back, he's not going to be anywhere near 100%. Harden is entering a new phase of his career. Tobias Harris has a case of being Tobias Harris. Maxey is too young, and the rest of the roster just isn't that good. If you said the Sixers will take 2 games, you'd probably go, yeah, fair enough. The Sixers had a decent series. So in the record books, you'd sit there and go, oh, that's not too bad, all things considered. But when you watch the games, like when the Sixers were bad, they were deplorable.
Oh, Ugh. It actually drives me nuts because I really think they could have actually won the series.
Well, when they were good, like they were superb. Yeah, I mean, look, Harden isn't the offensive supernova that he was 5 years ago. That's obvious. But he's still very, very good. He's one of the best distributing point guards on the planet. He's just not somebody who's going to go and get you 30 every night anymore. But he can go get you 12 assists every night.
That
sure.
second half of that elimination game wanted, oh my God. If I was a Sixers fan, I think I'd want to kill him.
Oh, look, we've seen, even when he was at his best, we've seen that record before against Houston. Against the Clippers, against San Antonio. You know, we've seen this episode of the Harden show before. But look, ultimately, it's a weird one to assess because when the Sixers got it right, they looked really, really good. But when they got it wrong, my God, they were just horrible. And the fact that practically to a man, they came out afterwards and said, we weren't strong enough mentally. We weren't tough enough. But I think it was Niang. I think it was George Niang came out and said, I don't want to say we're not tough enough, but then proceeded to say we're not tough enough without using those exact words. Basically, every player came out and lambasted their own team, their own mentality, their own intestinal fortitude. That to me is the biggest concern. That these guys have started to lose belief in themselves.
I can't believe they're going to keep Doc Rivers. I'm stunned.
Yeah, something needs to change. I mean, Doc, I wrote a thing on Doc a couple of years ago asking whether he was overrated.
Yeah, it still gets views every day.
Yeah, and he's never been an X's and O's savant. He's not Finch. He's not Nick Nurse. Yeah, he's not even a Taylor Jenkins.
I think you're right. I think Minnesota might have something.
Oh, Finch is great. I think he's a wonderful coach. Rivers' thing though has been the ability to draw people together to create a sense of team. He did that beautifully with Boston.
He's not doing that right now.
No, he led the Clippers through the toughest possible period that you could have as a franchise. Short of maybe a player dying, he led them through the toughest scenario you could have. This side, he just has not been able to draw them together. And there's all sorts of scuttlebutt that there are players in that locker room who cannot stand him. Absolutely. And I don't know whether this
I believe it.
Oh, I would believe it too. He's a polarizing figure. But I don't know whether this is, your Embiid, Harden, Maxey, Harris level players, or whether this is, Shake Milton and Furkan Korkmaz and Paul Reed can't stand him, because that's a very different thing. Look, it just makes so much sense for Doc to go to the Lakers, doesn't it?
Yes.
It really does. It would be
I can't believe Philadelphia's keeping him.
Well, he's still got, I think, 3 years at $8 million a pop.
They're not winning with him.
No, they're not. They're not. I honestly think the Sixers don't need a rah-rah motivational us against the world type of coach. They need an X's and O's guy. It looks like D'Antoni's going to Charlotte, but I don't think D'Antoni's the right guy for this anyway.
I think Harden's a little too old to be running up and down the floor in that high pace.
Absolutely. But there will be a coach, and it might be a coach who's an assistant or a collegiate coach. There will be someone out there.
That's actually a Ime Udoka, former Sixers assistant, Monty Williams, former Sixers assistant. Yep. They've passed on some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, they believed in Brett Brown, and Brett Brown is what these last few seasons have shown is that while Brett Brown was a problem, he wasn't the problem. And Doc is a championship winning coach. That can never be taken off his resume, but he has not done well with these guys. I honestly, though, Trey, as much as we focus on the team and the coaching, I think this is a franchise problem.
Tobias Harris over me.
Look, they chose Jimmy. They chose a bunch of players over Jimmy, really,
including Al Horford.
It's just that Harris is
including Al Horford
still there. Yeah, exactly. Horford was one of them. But no, I think this is a problem that goes to front office. When love him or loathe him, when Hinkie was there was a plan.
Yes, there was.
There was a plan. You can disagree with that plan on a on an emotional level, on a on a fair play level. You can disagree with it on any level you want, but there was a plan. Since then, you've had Colangelo, who's came in and gone a complete opposite direction. Then they've gone back again with 3 GMs all at once. One of them is as the coach, and another one as as a first-time job. And then you've gone back again to winning, to win at all costs. Once you've got not Hinkie, Morey in, because he's a veteran GM, he wants to win. So you've gone from here to here to here to here.
They're almost like
about 5 years.
They're almost like a soccer team that they don't know how to spend their transfer money.
No, so Everton, basically.
I just thought of this now, but okay, when they hired Hinkie, they did have a plan. That's why they traded Drew Holiday. We're starting over.
Exactly, yeah.
If Drew Holiday, if they're in win mode, hey, Drew Holiday can stick around. He can help develop a young Embiid. We'll get better.
This Holiday was 21 years old when they traded him. He was young. He should have been a part of the pro. I understand why they did it. It was a case of, we think Noel can be a defensive anchor, and he was, he was arguably the number 1 pick before his knee went.
Sure.
In college. And not only that, they got him and picks. And for Hinkie, it was all about the asset play.
Yeah.
It was,
but at least they were, you knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was get as many assets as we can. We might find the odd rough diamond, like a Covington. And you basically try and get those 1 or 2 tentpole stars and fill out the rest of them there. But I think the issue with the Sixers isn't so much an issue what's on the court and what's guiding those people on the court from the sideline is an issue. But I think they're symptoms of a front office that has chopped and changed its direction so much over the course of half a dozen years that this franchise does not know whether it's Arthur or Martha at the moment. They've got young players they're trying to develop, but they're trying to win now. They've got no assets left. So they've sort of split themselves in 2 directions. And you can't serve 2 masters. You just can't. You can't serve 2 masters. So,
and the other thing that screwed him was the Markelle Fultz thing.
Oh, look, Fultz was a consensus pick. Well, I won't say consensus, but there was absolutely no opposition when there was no dissenting voice when they took him number 1. Mm-hmm. It was a case of, they've got themselves a really good player here. And
gave up an extra pick or extra first round pick to go
get. I mean, if you're moving up from 3 to 1, you have to. That's the price you pay. But ultimately, that was an unforeseen thing that Fultz's shoulder went and he just completely forgot how to shoot. There's also a player development issue here as well, because talking of forgetting how to shoot, Simmons did shoot as a rookie. He really did.
Yeah,
he would drive in. He'd stop, he'd pivot on a dime, and he'd pull up for
his best highlights are from his rookie year summer league stuff.
Oh, mate, he looked like he was going to take over the league. But I've been on record as saying I don't think he's a point guard. I think he is a playmaking 4, and I think he was miscast as a point guard. And I think the fact that he's not, even when he did shoot, he wasn't a very good shooter. Because there's so much emphasis on your point guard needing to shoot in the modern NBA. You're not winning a championship with Avery Johnson running the point anymore. There was so much emphasis on that I think it's gotten into Simmons' head that, well, people want me to shoot and I can't. So rather than missing all these shots, I'll just not shoot. If he's at the 4, there's no power forward and a dunker spot there. There's more space for him to do his thing with shooters around him. I honestly think that this has been since Hinkie left, this has just been so horridly mismanaged that we are now in a spot where the Sixers have got this astronomical. Well, actually, I was about to say they've got an astronomical payroll, but their payroll there is a way out of it for them.
There is, but they're not going to take that path.
Well, it depends on what they do with Harden. Harris has got 2 years left. when he expires is when Maxey is due for an extension. So that marries up perfectly. It depends on whether they'd say to Harden, take your player option because no one's paying you $47 million for next year, and prove it. Prove that this is your hamstring, not aging in 10 years of not taking care of your body. Having said that, there is a relationship with Hinkie and Harden. I keep saying Hinkie, Morey and Harden, and we know that the NBA runs on relationships. So if they say to him, hey, we're not going to give you an extension, take your player option, and if you hit X, Y, and Z, here's $150 million for 4 years sitting on the table for you. I think there's every chance that Harden could go, hang on, this isn't what was promised. Fuck you, I'm out. And then you've got nothing to show for Simmons and Curry, essentially. So this is a dangerous, dangerous little spot.
Sure.
For the Sixers. Yeah, very dangerous spot for the Sixers.
And I'm not sure they're in a better spot or worse spot if they don't make the trade.
Oh, look, Simmons was never going to play for him again.
Yeah, so
they're very clearly in a better spot with Harden than Simmons because that Harden MD,
as crazy as that sounds, they're in a better spot.
Well, they are, but people. The big issue is people are comparing 2022 James Harden to 2017 James Harden, and that's not fair on 2022 James Harden. He's still arguably the best pick and roll point guard in the league. He is a savant as a passer. That pick and roll between he and Embiid is unstoppable. The issue is that if you're paying Harden to be, even a 25-point per game player, he might not be that anymore.
And Harris isn't enough to take the scoring load.
Exactly. He's not a scorer anymore. He's a good scorer, not a great scorer anymore. But he is still, an elite and arguably one of the best 2 or 3 passers in the world. So if you accept him for that role, suddenly the Sixers don't look so bad. But it depends what you want to pay that player.
They need an upgrade over Harris.
Wants to be paid like 2017 Harden. The one thing with Harden, he's turned down big contracts before. He turned down a huge extension from Houston, turned down a huge extension from Brooklyn. That would have, both of them, I think, would have made him the highest paid player in the league. So he's clearly someone who values his flexibility. So I do think there is a chance he opts into that player option.
Okay.
And the other thing is, it's $47 million. He's not getting that in the open market.
No.
So I honestly think he opts into it. And he gives himself an out from Philly if it doesn't work next season, or he'll say it's a chance to prove himself and earn one more big deal.
Yeah, let's move on to Miami. I'm tired of talking about these losers.
Look, this side looks great. I feel like I say it on every pod I'm on with you. Spoelstra is the best coach in the league.
He for sure is.
Yeah, he's just miles ahead of everyone else. He's a brilliant, brilliant coach. And these guys, we talked about the Sixers not being able to develop people correctly. I
swear to God, if Max Strus goes off in one of these games that costs us the series, I'm going to lose it.
There will be a game where Strus will go for 20.
I don't think
he will have his Grant Williams moment.
The Celtics had him on a 2-way contract last year.
They did. No, look, but this is Miami's strength. Yeah, he's playing ahead of Duncan Robinson, who is his poster child for development out of nothing. Duncan Robinson didn't even think he'd make the NBA.
And Duncan Robinson got paid.
Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't expect to make the NBA, let alone be an $80 million player. So,
and they still have Strus ahead of him in the rotation.
Yeah, well, that's because he can't play any defense whatsoever. People say Joe Harris is a bad defender. Joe Harris, oh my God, he's like prime Sidney Moncrief compared to Duncan Robinson. But if there's a spot where you, let's say if Derek White happens to be on the floor for Boston, that might be an opportunity for Robinson to come out and play a little bit, spread that floor. There's opportunities coming up in these series where Robinson can play more. It's just a matter of how open Spoelstra and the Heat are to having a clear defensive target on the floor.
I'll save this, I guess, for the previews, but I'm not sure Miami's like good. Like, are they number one seed, best point differential in the playoffs, steamrolling through teams? Like, I'm not sure they're this good.
This is the thing all year with Miami. I said it at the start of the season. We talked about this on our
They have the best point differential
conference
in the playoffs, and
semi-previews.
it's not close.
No, they've like, and I think a lot of this comes down to Spoelstra and that development team. But this is a side that I thought if they get some injuries, they could be a 7 seed. In the end, they got the injuries and they're the 1 seed. Like, remarkable effort from the Heat. And that resilience, that versatility, that resilience, that next man up type of mantra, it is very, very Miami. But like that just sees them through. It doesn't matter who leaves the floor. And Bam goes out, Dedmon steps in and gives them a good 27, 28 minutes. If Butler goes down, they find bloody Strusel step in.
Oladipo's going to get another contract.
Yeah, Depot's earned himself another deal. The forgotten man of the NBA. So, this team is absolutely remarkable. You look at them on paper and you go, they are not your typical number 1 seed. But there's 2 outstanding players there in Bam and Jimmy, but neither of them are. Like Jimmy can go off. We've seen that, and he's starting to shoot threes in the playoffs, unlike the regular season.
That's another question I have for you.
But he's, if it wasn't for that 2019 finals run, I would doubt whether he would be the guy to lead an offense to a finals team. It's only the fact that he's done it before that makes me think he can do it. Because you look at the profile of player and you think he is extremely 1992. All strength and mid-range and get into the key and get to the free throw line.
And his 3-point shot, I mean, there were some times he hit his shots, but like overall, over the course of the year, he's been a bad shooter.
Well, he's barely even shot the 3 through the regular season. He's only really started taking it in the playoffs, and he's making it to a reasonable degree.
Yeah.
He's certainly not prime Steph or Clay, but he's making it enough that you have to respect it.
I think his
and
regular season
big ass shoulders of his can bustle into you and get into the lane. Now I
want to look up his percentage, but I think it was bad during the regular season, wasn't it?
Oh, it wasn't great, and the shot volume wasn't exactly immense either. Now this is a side that it still surprises me when I see them on paper as the number 1 seed. They don't sort of ooze number 1 seeds swagger. Like, they're very businesslike. But ultimately, you got to win the games you win, and they've done
23% for Butler in the regular season.
How many attempts a game?
How many attempts per game? 2.
Yeah, there you go. Not much from your prime option on the wing.
23% is still awful.
Oh, it's bloody terrible. Yeah. What's his playoff percentage?
I will go back to it. What's that? Playoffs. Come on. He's 9 of 28 overall.
Okay. Oh, so he's not that. He'd be what, 30, low
32%.
Yeah. So
32% against the Sixers and 43% against the Hawks.
Oh, there you go. So he's probably at somewhere in the mid, 36, 37 if you average that out. So that's a good.
He has to do that against Boston, by the way.
Oh, he does. But that's the difference. That playoff Jimmy seems to just develop this jump shot that is, not seen otherwise. Now look, Miami, they're just, man, they're good. They're deep. They know their roles. They're superbly coached and they're tough as nails. They are just hard asses. I honestly think this could be similar to the Bucks series in that we could see a whole bunch of 86 to 81 type of games.
Speaking of the Bucks, let's do the last one. I've been waiting for this one. Celtics. The king is
dead. Long live the king. Oh man, no. the game was played like really early this morning, our time over here in Australia, and my youngest, who is a massive Bucks fan, got up to watch the last quarter. He wanted to get up to watch more of it, but I said, mate, you're not getting up at 6 a.m. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, he was a bit shattered, poor fella. But like I said before, Trey,
he got his title. He doesn't need to be. He can't expect to win every year.
This is what I said to Lachlan. I said, mate, you're 11 years old, and you've seen your basketball team win a title. I'm 43. My team hasn't won a title.
Exactly.
And then they started pointing and laughing at me. So, little bastard.
Celtics have won one in 35 years.
Sorry?
Celtics one title, 35 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's one title since the Bird era. Should have been
most historic franchise in the league, arguably. So
yeah. But
the 11-year-old can be happy about his one title.
But it's the old Canadians thing, isn't it? A title every 7 years minimum, and then they haven't won one for 30 years now. Anyway, onto this series. This was just like smash mouth, beat down, drag it out basketball. It was not pretty, but God, it was good to watch. Every game, I loved every game except Game 7, because that one, like especially.
I liked Game 7 a lot.
Oh no, I'll bet you did. But me as the neutral, like once that one blew out in the third quarter, the intrigue went out of it, and neither team was scoring well enough that if a team got a 20-point lead, they were going to catch up. These defenses are just too good. But all 6 games before that were just fantastic. Drew Holiday's block and save and, throw it back off Smart, that might be the play of the entire series. Then you've got that, the controversy of that 3-shot foul against Smart on, what was it, Game 3, I think? There's talking points all over this series.
And
Giannis put up
how about
massive
he got
numbers.
the 3-shot foul in the half-court attempt?
Yeah, that was bullshit, wasn't it? That was like how you can say that one wasn't and the other one was.
I guarantee they called that because they know in Game 3 it should have been a 3-shot foul.
So 3 games later, 4 games later, we're going to give you a bullshit one to shut you up. That's ridiculous. Both like one was a bad call.
Yeah.
The one in Game 3 was a bad call. The half-court one was a ridiculous call. But yeah, I mean, Giannis put up historical numbers. Like at the end of this series, it was something. I can't remember the exact figures, but they had a little stat in the bottom of the screen, and I think he's the first player in history to have 200 points, 100 boards, and 50 assists in a series.
Stupid.
But he was nuts in this series. He was so good. The elephant in the room is what happens if Middleton plays.
Sure.
But
in fairness, it's kind of also what I said before the series started. Overcoming Middleton or a 7-game series is a tough ask. I mean, we get to Game 6.
Primary pick and roll ball handler.
We get to Game 7. Those guys are going to have to hit shots. Grayson Allen's got to hit shots. He was awful. I mean,
and it's not even that the hitting shots. Because Grayson Allen, Connaughton, these are guys who you hit with kick-out passes and they hit threes with one dribble maybe. Middleton is a legitimate. He's made all-star games as a primary pick and roll ball handler. His 2-man game with Giannis, I mean, you cannot leave Giannis when he's the screener and rolling towards the bucket.
I think it was like a 50-point swing in the 3-point line over the Game 7.
Well, that's the other thing. If he can step out and be a catch and shoot guy as well, so he's a huge, huge miss in this series. And quite frankly, I think Milwaukee probably win it if he plays.
But I also don't want to hear the excuses like, oh, Toronto, they never win that title if Durant goes down. Like,
you have who you have.
Yeah.
You have who you have. And look, how many games did Time Lord miss?
Time Lord didn't play the last 3 games.
Exactly. So you can't argue one without arguing the other. But in these sort of series where where it is just so tight and tense, there's always a hero that emerges. And my God, Grant Williams had the game.
Actually, I want to
fucking life.
Can I give you some credit before we talk about Grant Williams? Because you brought this up in your article about I think it was the King.
DiVincenzo. Yeah, DiVincenzo.
I mean, if he's on the Bucks, I'm not sure the Celtics win.
No, they had no wing depth. And I get the trade because at that stage, Brook Lopez may or may not have come back. So you
He
needed
wasn't good enough
another.
either.
Oh, look, he's 34 years old. And he's not a star. He hasn't been a star for ages, but he's an excellent role player. But
He loves
again,
taking threes,
he's
though.
a role
Loves
player
it.
who's pushed into a bigger role because Middleton's not there. So I understood the Ibaka trade. You needed a shot blocker who can stretch the floor, and Ibaka fit that perfectly. But the danger was if Lopez comes back, Ibaka's redundant, and your wing depth suffers. Now, again, you're not going to foresee that Middleton gets hurt and misses the rest of the season. But it was a calculated risk that one player wouldn't come back and that they would have enough wing depth to cover. On both cases, the risk didn't pay off. Sometimes that happens to a front office. So it was an educated decision. It could be justified. It just didn't pay off.
And that's well, they were going to trade him for Bogdanovich once upon a time.
Yeah, but the thing is, they've traded him for someone who didn't play in this scenario. And he would have played 25 minutes a game if Lopez was still injured.
Uh-huh.
But it was a calculated risk. It didn't come off. Shit happens.
Grant Williams, hero.
He will never play a game like that again in his life. Like that was incredible. Absolutely
I have a good side
incredible.
tangent for you. It feels like, I don't know, I've kind of said this. It feels like a little bit of a passing the torch kind of year. We've had some things happen where the next generation of people are coming through. He does
as
look
far
like
as players, yeah. As far as teams, I mean,
no. In terms of players, he looks like the modern day Draymond a little bit.
Yeah, we're seeing this next generation step up now, but more to the point, we're seeing the older generation start to fall away. You know, we've spoken about Harden. We've said that Steph might not be the best player in his series, which, you know, short of LeBron series, you couldn't say for 8 years.
I just think Draymond's a good example here because there's so many times during that Warriors series where they just dared him to shoot the ball. They dared him to shoot the ball. And if Grant Williams is going to be dared to shoot the ball and he's going to make those shots, they're going to be really tough to beat.
And look, let's be frank that he is not in Draymond's.
No, but he's about the same size, undersized guy, 6'6". He's really strong. He defends his ass off. He competes.
Yeah, he does.
And he's an older college guy. Like he was in college for a long time. He developed.
Yeah, he's a 5-year collegiate player, wasn't he?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But no, it's. I think it's been a passing of the torch, and we're seeing, you know, Durant struggle, Harden struggle. You know, all these guys that have been the stars of the league, Kyrie even, they have been overtaken by teams with the next generation of stars there. So I think that's what I'm seeing. What happens? Should we look at the actual conference finals?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Where do you want to go? East or West?
Let's start. Celtics, Heat.
All right. Yeah, like I said, this could be another, like, one of those games where you look at the box score and go, oh, God, that must have been boring as batshit. But when you watch it, you can't even blink. Like, it'll just be like brilliant. As a basketball nerd, this will be a brilliant defensive series. Seeing where teams can eke out offensive advantages will be fascinating in this series. Both teams are on string, particularly if Time Lord comes back. Watching Adebayo switch out on the perimeter and swallow guards, watching Time Lord get pushed out onto, you know, Max Strus or Gabe Vincent, and then come out of nowhere, seemingly just evaporate from the corner, re-emerge in the middle of the key to swat a shot off the board. As a guy as a coach, I'm more of a defensive coach. And this game, like this series, could be right up my alley. This could dead set float my boat. And casual fans are going to hate it.
You're going to think I'm nuts, but I kind of believe in these weird patterns that we see sometimes. It does feel like, I don't want to seem overconfident, but it feels like what happened with the Bucks last year, where they beat the Nets. Oh, what the hell just happened to my screen? I don't know what happened. Anyway, they were down to the Nets 3-2 last year in the second round. They beat them in game 6. And I'm like, Brooklyn's going to really not, they should have finished them on home court. They went back game 7 to Milwaukee, beat them, and then they just went on a run. Like they got over that hump. I feel like Giannis was a little bit of the hump. Like I think the Celtics are in prime cruising position right now.
Having the Suns taken out of the way does open it up for whoever wins the East. I honestly now think that the best team left out of these four are both in the Eastern Conference.
I think the Celtics and the Warriors are on a collision course here.
Could very well be. And look, I say this with absolutely no authority, no certainty, but I think Miami will find a way to win this.
Really?
Because this is what Miami have done all season. But they've just found ways to get shit done. Udoka has never, Udoka could get a nosebleed getting this high in it, this far into the season in his rookie year. Spoelstra's been there before. He's been a head coach for 15 years now. He's won titles. He's lost finals. He's had, lottery teams. He's seen it all. So I don't say this with any authority because this is a genuine coin flip, this series. But Miami have home court, and there is a resourcefulness to this Heat team that have led them to the number 1 seed in the conference. And they're the number 1 seed for a reason. They've shown that they can cover Lowry, and Lowry will hopefully come back and be, closer to the Kyle Lowry we expect. That's a bonus for them as well. When Miami are on, you just can't score it.
I feel really confident, actually. I don't want to be overconfident, but I feel really confident. And I'm not saying the Heat aren't going to put up a fight. They're too well coached. They're gonna win a couple games in the year. Like it's just gonna happen. But
this will be a close series.
There's something about that bubble run that I think rubs Tatum the wrong way. I think rubs Jaylen Brown the wrong way.
There's the block.
Them losing that bubble series, I think they know they missed an opportunity there, and I think they're going to get them this time.
It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Boston go through, but I think Miami will find a way to get it done. West.
Yeah.
And
this one I'm actually less confident about. I think it's going to be Golden State, but I'm not.
I agree. I think Golden State will get it done. I just think that the supporting cast, we said it before, the best player on the floor in this series could well be Luka Doncic. He may have gone past Curry right now. Curry can still go for 50 in a game.
I think we could talk about this
week after, or game after game, quarter after quarter. I don't know. But I think the players around him are better than Dallas's.
Are we positive about that?
Not 100%, but I think they are. And look, they're battle tested. They've all been there before, or on the whole, anyway.
Isn't it just weird how every single night somebody for the Mavs, Finney Smith will just go off, and here's Dinwiddie's.
Here's Reggie Bullock for 4 threes, and suddenly Maxi Kleber killed the Jazz. We mentioned Bertans getting pulled out of cryogenic chamber, and suddenly he's launching threes again.
It just feels like every night they get one.
Brooklyn Dinwiddie.
They get one guy on their team that steps up.
Yep, they always find a way. And as much as I think Steve Kerr still has a coaching advantage over Kidd, I lambasted the Mavs for hiring Kidd, but he has been really, really good. He is genuine proof that a coach can get better. So I honestly, I think I'm with you. I think it's Golden State, but I think they'll face Miami. You think they'll face Boston?
I'm going Golden State in 7. I'm going Boston in 6, by the way.
I'll say Miami in 7.
Okay.
I'll say Golden State in 5, but it's going to be one of those games where every game is close. It's going to be a series where 5 feels like we've been shortchanged.
Yeah, fair.
So there we go.
Okay.
That's who we're picking.
Jason Tatum.
He's going to prove once the finals start.
Jason Tatum proves he's the best player on the floor, and he's not wasting any time. We're getting through this.
Yeah, I think that Miami find a way to slow him down enough.
Okay. I'm glad you're on their side. We can't have too many supporters. We got to have some doubters here yet.
It's yeah, we got to have some dissenting voices against the boss.
One quick thing and we can wrap up. Do I owe Al Horford an apology?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Look, I mean, that one game was an outlier, clearly, but
Yeah.
he has proven himself to be still a good basketballer at
Yeah.
the pointy end of the season. So you called him washed,
I did.
amongst other things. So yeah, no, you definitely do.
Yeah. Fair.
If
All
not,
right.
his sister will come for you.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
That's Jarrod Prosser. Make sure to follow him. Hey it's JP, myself, Trey Daubert. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.